Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we got out our action figures and reenacted that time we spent living in a forest after a thrilling heist went wrong. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Now, last week we released the action-adventure...
Post-apocalyptic sci-fi
film. Now, let's see if we can remember the name of this film. It was The Road, When Worlds Collide, the
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
And it had the tagline.
The tagline was...
The Quest for Peace.
The Quest for Peace.
The Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home. And then... I think that was it.
And then we just referred to it as Planet Infinity.
That's right, yes.
But only we're allowed to do that.
Yes, exactly. Now, we left off last week with Nicolas Cage calling us up right at the end of the episode and stating that while he will do National Treasure, the film that we released a couple of episodes ago, or attempted to release a couple of episodes ago, he was not going to do The Road, which we had him in there as a starring role. And his son as well, Jalal Coppola, if I'm not mistaken. Coppola, if I'm not mistaken. So... That standard, he did not want to do it at all. He wanted to do National Treasure, but he would not have a bar of The Road. So I decided.
So did we get him in on National Treasure?
We did. We got him in.
Oh, right. Okay.
But this is...
He kept every time I messaged him, he kept going back and forth.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, I'll do Planet Infinity. And I'm like, sorry, Nicholas, you're not allowed to call it Planet Infinity. Either refer to it as its full name. He's like, I'm not referring it to the full name. I'll do National... And he kept going back and forth.
Yep.
And eventually he just went radio silent. I wasn't sure where he fell.
No.
So National Treasure's good.
National Treasure's in the can.
All right,
now,
great.
Myself as a crafty, non-artistic producer... decided that there is no way that we were going to do The Road without Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
So I decided that what we would do is during production of National Treasure, we just get him to read a couple of the lines a little bit differently and just slot in some different names. And all we'd say to him is just like, we're thinking of maybe changing certain elements of the plot so that we'll release a trailer. People will think it's about a particular film, or they'll think it's like, this is the story going on. And then when we release the film, totally different.
That's quite crafty.
But what I was actually doing was recording just enough dialogue in there so that we could use it for The Road.
So we've paid him for one film.
Yes.
And sneakily got him to star in two films.
Just like Marlon Brando when he recorded all that stuff for Superman 1 and then had to like be digitally inserted into Superman Returns.
Yeah.
And I think they also got him for Superman 2 because they paid him like a ridiculous amount of money and Warner Brothers wanted to get all their money's worth out of it. We're Marlo Brandoing Nicolas Cage.
That's quite crafty. I like that.
Thank you very much.
Two for the price of one.
Yep.
I love it.
I foresee no lawsuits as a result of this. I think he'll be... Look, once he sees the product, once he sees what we've done with the edit and the CG... We've had to like CGI a lot though.
Yes.
But once he sees it, I mean, he's going to be blown away.
Nice.
He's going to be absolutely blown away. So, The Road, etc., etc., etc.
I mean, that's actually quite exciting for our movie film studio workshop digital distribution platform subscribers. Mafusa Wooded subscribers, as I should have said. They're getting two new release films this week.
Two new release films, yeah, absolutely. And they're both starring Nicolas Cage. All right, on to this week in trailers. And first up, we have Leave No Trace. Directed by...
So this is really weird. So it came up and it's about a young girl and her sort of father. And the first thing I thought of was like, this cinematography and the casting choice of a young girl reminds me quite a lot of Winter's Bone.
Yep.
And literally within 2 seconds up on the screen had from the director of Winter's Bone.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the film that earned Jennifer Lawrence her first Academy Award nomination when she was about 15 or 16.
Yep.
About like... She's growing up in a small town with an absent father.
Yep.
Same sort of thing here. It's like
it's the opposite, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
the father's there all the time.
In this one, the young girl and the father, who has some sort of post-traumatic war
PTSD or something,
syndrome, is living in the forest, surviving on the land, and the government comes in and says it's illegal for you to live on private property, and so they rehome the father and the daughter in a community, and he doesn't like it and tries to they all try and run away, and there's like, well, she's like, the mental problems that you have aren't things that I have. I can function in civilization. You have to function in the wilderness. What's this crazy parent relationship?
You did mention that the sort of film that this was not inspired by, but the film that this director did previously won Jennifer Lawrence was it her first Oscar, or was it a nomination? Okay, yeah.
She was like one of the youngest nominees.
Right,
because she was quite young and very good in that film.
There's a title card sort of halfway through this trailer that suggests that the female actor in this, whose name is Thomasin McKenzie, is like, it has a standout stellar performance, very reminiscent of Jennifer Lawrence. So Jennifer Lawrence is now the new yardstick for like acting, and just for everything. Actually,
can you imagine how was Thomasin? What did it say?
Thomasin McKenzie.
Yeah, she's going to be the new person who's in all of those films, because if there's anything to go for, Jennifer Lawrence is in like 4 or 5 films every year, and they're generally quite good films as well. She's great. She chooses great projects. So look on the horizon for Thomasin. This one, and I mentioned while watching it, has a lot of title cards that come up with the little golden laurel leaves as the open brackets around Sundance Film Festival nominee. We haven't got any laurel leaves around any of our films. We're trying to get the Oscar nom, but really, I really like the look of those.
They look classy.
Open brackets. Really, really, really classy. So whether it's a Film d'Or, Palmed, or Cannes Film
Sundance.
where it's Sundance, where it's any other film festival that uses those. We just need to get our film in there and watch.
I mean, do we just have those laurels around the film title? Like,
are they copyrighted?
I don't know.
I was
thinking, can't copyright laurels.
I was thinking if we bring our iPhone into Sundance and sit there and watch our own film say we saw this film at Sundance,
premiered at Sundance,
exactly, and it wasn't necessarily part of the festival, but it was definitely watched during the festival at that location.
Exactly.
I think that might give us clearance.
That
to
gives
use
us access to the laurels. Great.
I think that's how it works.
All right, brilliant. So Leave No Trace. See that? I mean, it's out now, I think, in the US, and apparently it's got a 100% review on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Foster is the dad in this, and he's been in a few roles where you recognize his face but have never actually committed his name to memory. He seems to be like the henchman offsider in the guy in the war film who maybe dies about halfway through, or I think he was one of the X-Men, but not a particularly
he's one of those guys that when you see him on screen you're like, oh, that guy.
I've seen that guy before. I don't know what his name is.
Exactly.
Turns out his name is Ben Foster.
All right, see that, I don't know, if you want. Next trailer on the list, Robert Zemeckis returns with Welcome to Marwen, starring Steve Carell and other actors.
Leslie Mann, I think, plays the love interest in this one. There's an ensemble cast. So the basic premise of this story is a guy, and it's a biographic.
It's a
semi-biographic. So I'm written here like, why have I written notes of B10? And the answer is it's because it's not B10, it's bio, and it is loosely based on an actual story of a guy. It looks
it's an artist who was
assaulted by white supremacists,
beaten up by neo-Nazi white supremacists, and then suffered, like, was not able to basically write his name anymore.
So his drawings, which he was quite good at, is an outlet that he's not able to express.
And so he then turns to sort of posing action figures and stuff into sort of these very lifelike situations and dioramas and photographing them, and that's sort of his new creative outlet. And the film goes into sort of the court case that he has against the perpetrators of the violence against him and his sort of traumatic recovery and so on. However, as this is a Robert Zemeckis film and he is one to inject as much computer-generated and special effects stuff into his films as possible, let's see Back to the Future, Polar Express, Castaway, sure. The little dioramas that he makes, the little toy scenarios, are then shown sort of like animated as well.
Yeah. So as you get a glimpse into his imagination as he's like, and these action man type figures have faces that are very similar to the actors who are playing them. So the Steve Carell action figure looks a lot like Steve Carell on a Ken doll type posable figure.
Yeah.
But like they will then sort of somehow play out some of the scenes as if they stop motion animated.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the real world as he's moving the figures through the spaces. It's weird. It's weird looking. It's interesting conceptually.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how to play it out as a storytelling technique.
It sort of feels like Toy Story in the sense that these toys are inhabiting the real world, but only really Steve Carell's character sees them coming to life and reenacting all these actions and stuff. And there's some cute bits as well where like one of the Nazi dolls falls from a great height onto a spike, and instead of being sort of gored by that spike, it just splits apart.
Like a broken toy. What did Wikipedia describe this as? Like an action thriller comedy. It's everything. Every genre
the
possible.
Academy, rather. The Academy tells me that it's an American psychological biographical comedy drama film. Which is
check.
Yeah, it's a lot of checks. I guess my worry with this film is that with Zemeckis as well. I mean, he's had some great films, Forrest Gump and Back to the Future, but he's also had some really terrible ones where he just lets the technology sort of do all the talking. Polar Express, amongst others. This film seems more like they're going to try and do a lot of that toy stuff coming to life rather than actually looking at the life and the thoughts of Steve Carell's characters, and it may just be a bit more, family friendly than the PTSD suffering Steve Carell's character.
Yeah, leaning a little bit more on the comedy that arises from that rather than the psychological drama.
That's right, yeah. I mean, it looks kind of cool.
It looks interesting. There's a point in there where he was playing around with toys, posing them. I'm like, that's interesting. And the toys started like reenacting scenes. I'm like, yeah, you kind of got me here. Yeah. Like this kind of looks cool and fun and interesting. The fact that it's on the background of a court case where neo-Nazis stomp a guy's face in, a little bit weird. But
it kind of just seems like the film we would make. Yeah, this film seems competent.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. On to the last trailer for this week's episode, and it is Widows, directed by Steve McQueen and starring an ensemble cast. A huge
everyone.
Now, we're going to try and remember some of the actors in this because as we were watching the trailer, we were like, oh, it's that guy and that guy and that girl and that guy. But so far,
You're going to go one for one and see who runs out first?
All right, cool. I'll go for the main. Liam Neeson was in it.
And Viola Davis.
Yep, correct. And I've forgotten the rest.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Who
was the Australian girl that you said was from Gatsby?
Elizabeth Debicki is in it.
Jackie Weaver
is in it, yep. There was... Colin Farrell was in it.
One of the guys from The Walking Dead who went on to do the Netflix Punisher series. He's in it as well. There's the guy from Get Out who was in that one episode of Black Mirror. He's in it.
Robert Duvall was in it as well. Yep.
So everywhere you're like, oh, there's another actor that I recognize from things who pops up, and then the screen at the end literally it's had to split it into two columns. There's so many recognizable faces and names in this film. And then we sat back and went, after we watched it, what's that film about? And the answer is you don't get any sense of what it's about.
Idea. It's a bunch of like action sequences. There's guns. There's Viola Davis crying at some point.
So what we know, it's called Widows.
It's called Widows.
So we assume that at least two people's husbands have died.
Possibly, yes.
It's the other big thing that we haven't mentioned is based on a book. Is it based on a book by Gillian Flynn, or is she the screenwriter?
No, she's the screenwriter. So she wrote Gone Girl, which was kind of a bit of a pulpy novel, I guess.
Very successful book. Yep. She's written a number of other books. I just assumed that this was based on one of her books.
No, I think she's just written it. So this is possibly her first screenplay. So according to the Academy, the screenplay is by herself and McQueen. So it's sort of a
collab.
Co-written.
And what did Steve McQueen did 12 Years a Slave was the other big one that came up as the project he was involved in.
Yes, amongst other sort of notable films. He's had a very prolific career. Now, I mean, the Academy tells me that Widows is a upcoming heist thriller film. I got the thriller bit. I don't know if I got the heist bit.
No, well, there's definitely a bit at the start there where Liam Neeson's putting cash from a vault into a bag.
Yep.
And then it's just lots of people standing around in parking garages talking about stuff. And just like, and then... Maybe, is there a courtroom? Is Robert Duvall in a courtroom?
Possibly.
There's definitely a skyscraper, glass sky. You
get Colin Farrell looking at the camera.
Absolutely no sense of, beyond the title of the film, which gives away maybe someone's husband dies.
Yeah.
The trailer doesn't give us anything.
No idea.
Absolutely nothing about what it's about.
But that's probably a good thing, isn't it? Like, I mean, so many trailers these days tend to spoil so much of the film. Like, you go in there thinking, like, why hasn't this scene happened yet? Like, I know...
You say that. We didn't spoil it last week.
Yep.
What was the post-apocalyptic trailer that we watched? Like, How It Ends?
How It Ends, yeah, the Netflix film.
There's about, like, 3/4 of the way through the trailer, the girl that they're trying to break into the post-apocalyptic city for shows up, and you're like, oh, you're alive. And then you see the guy driving away by himself. I'm like, where's Forrest Whitaker? Well, obviously you don't. Like, the trailer's revealed so much about what's going to happen in the film that it just sort of, like, defeats the purpose. Whereas this one, Widows, has definitely gone with the, we're not going to show you anything, so if you want to know anything about this film at all, you actually have to go and watch it.
It was honestly more of a cast highlight than anything else.
It was. Like, it was like almost like they had a checklist.
Yeah.
So, like, the first 3 shots were Liam Neeson shots.
Yep.
And the next 3 shots were Viola Davis shots.
Yep.
And the next 3 shots were Colin Farrell shots.
Yep.
And the next one were Michelle Rodriguez.
Yep.
And then you had the finalized Robert Duvall. You're like, all right, like, the Viola Davis didn't show up in the... Like, the Liam Neeson, didn't show up in the trailer beyond the first 3 shots of the trailer.
Exactly.
And then every time they're just like, oh, we're going to have to show all of these characters in here.
But see, that's great. You don't know when they'll be killed off. They could be like 5 minutes into the film and half the cast is gone.
It could be.
It could be great.
What was that? I mean, they're just copying what we did in the BW.
The BW,
where they bring up cast members and they just kill them off again.
Yeah.
At random intervals, who knows when anyone's going to die.
Yeah, but they didn't cast, like, notable TV stars.
No, but they did cast recognizable faces.
It's true, yeah.
Faces just like, oh, I haven't seen you in a film for a while. It's good to see that you're... Oh, no. Oh, you're dead now.
You're dead.
And I think, that's like... It's good to see that we're having an influence on the
It's
outlook.
very nice. Yeah, it is. Okay, those are the 3 films for this week's episode. But, of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
All right. Let's have a quick look at our options this week.
Yes.
We have a relationship between a father... Definitely indie film targeted at getting those Cannes Film Festival.
Yep.
And it sort of shows the life of people that you don't really think about or don't really get that much screen time. We have a...
special effects heavy.
Special effects gimmicky.
Slightly sappy.
So, imaginary world, real world crossover.
Psychological.
Yeah. And then
drama, I guess. Comedy drama.
Also have a actor-filled heist that we don't know what it's about, but looks stylistically kind of good.
A thriller.
And the other one is based on a big name author, I think, is one of the biggest selling points. I'm sure that's what happened when they got the list of actors that they wanted.
Yeah.
They just went, Gone Girl. Gone Girl writer's doing this one, and I'm sure that was the selling point.
It's also like what brand name director can we get in there? Yep.
Yeah, Steve McQueen. Oh, I loved him in The Great Escape.
What best boy can we get in there as well?
Yeah, exactly. I think they sold this to the actors based on the people who had already signed up, and it just kind of snowballed. It's like, holy crap, we got too many of these guys in here. So those are the 3 choices that we have this week.
Yes. Now, I picked last week, so it is, of course, up to you, Isaac.
Yeah, again, last week you had a bunch of choices from like musical, post-apocalyptic, kind of like really great choices. This week, I think there's only one that really stands out to me.
Yep.
And I don't actually remember if we told the people what it was called when we were doing it. The film's called Welcome to Marwen.
Yep. No, we did. We did.
The Zemeckis film with Steve Carell.
Yep.
And I really like that idea of the imaginary space blending with the real space in some sort of... not necessarily a technological gimmick, but definitely we hit that aspect of it, whether it's, marionette style, Team America puppets, whether it's hand puppets, whether it's CG, whether it's paper cutout animation, whether it's stop frame animation. There's definitely an imaginary element which is trying to exist in the real world as a live action thing. And the live action, the Lego movie did that a little bit. It wasn't very heavy on the live action, and I've actually started watching the Lego. I say started watching the Lego Ninjago movie. I say this a lot, where I start watching a movie and then I just give up on it. I didn't like the Lego Ninjago movie opens in the real world, and then goes in to tell the story.
Okay.
And so it's like again they're setting up a universe which is a crossover between the imaginary and the real. And I think whilst this is much more heavier, darker subject matter of physical recovery, because in this one Steve Carell's like doing physical therapy because he can't walk, he can't write, he can't draw. We have to have something heavy and dark sitting over the top of something that's quite clearly a little bit more whimsical.
Yeah, you're right. Now the thing is, like, now that I think about it, like, Welcome to Marwen actually is kind of a remake of one of our films as well, because we did a while back The Unhappiest Place on Earth.
We did.
Which featured, like, I can't remember who the character specifically, but it was a character who was institutionalized and kind of...
her way of dealing with the fact that she was in an institution was to believe that everyone else in there were characters from Disney films.
Yeah.
And then we had a Mary Poppins style, bright and happy sing-along in conjunction with this dark and gritty mental asylum.
Yeah.
Which is, again, very similar to this sort of like style of crossover. But I mean, again, this isn't a million miles away from our Curious Flight of the Hymenopteryx either. Like we have that experience of really delving into untapped. Again, we did with the puppet one.
Yep.
We did a crossover between live action people, between puppet people, between animation people.
Yep.
This is well within our technological abilities.
Yeah.
I reckon we push the bound even further.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can we push it though? What's the next step for this? Because we've done so Avatar exists. That's sort of like real actors playing crazy fictionalized digital CGI creations. Can we go further though than that?
That is a good question. What filmmaking technology have we not pushed the bounds of before?
This is a good one. You know what? Okay, here's what's come to me right now. Something that we haven't done before, and I want to sort of pitch it as a new experience. It may sound similar to an experience that has existed for hundreds and hundreds of years.
All right, go on.
But like live stage performances.
Oh my God, this is great.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. But live stage performances that are like films, not like stage plays.
But this is the point is that it's a combination stage play film.
Yes.
So there's definitely a film going on.
Yeah.
And then there's a stage in front of it.
Yep.
And part of it's live action.
Yep.
Part of it is and then when the live action bits ends, it seamlessly transitions into the film bit, and you watch the film bit for a while, and it comes back in. Again, most cinemas are probably not adapted to perform this for us, but that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter, because now what we can also exclusively launch today is the Movie Film Studios chain of performance theatre cinemas.
Yeah, exactly.
Which are called...
I mean, I thought you just said it. Movie Film Studios, COPT. Chain of performance theatres.
So, Mufascopt? Is that it?
I don't know.
That's it, yeah. Movie Film Studios, chain of performance theatre cinemas.
Chain of performance theatre cinemas, exactly. And I think, again, and we won't get too much into it, it'll be launched eventually, but in association with the chain of theatres is also a chain of schools where people will learn
learn that technique,
learn the skill of acting.
So
we can merge in our improv schools in there with as well.
The Juilliard School of Acting is no longer the ultimate choice for actors.
When you think about it, like for the most part, when people are putting on a stage performance in, let's say, Sydney, for example, there's only like one production of like The Lion King going on.
Yeah.
And they perform that 2 or 3 times a day, but it's always the same actors.
Yeah.
With ours, if we're going to do wide distribution, how many times do you reckon Deadpool 2 screened this week?
Oh, gosh.
Hundreds and thousands
of times, yeah.
But just within Sydney, with all the different cinemas across the world, we have to train up hundreds of thousands of actors to perform these roles.
Yeah.
And you know the really great thing is that people who go see the movie twice will deliberately go to different cinemas just so they can see the live action performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
How that varies from place to place.
Yeah.
You know how like most actors are saying, oh, we have to struggle being baristas and wait staff and stuff like that. We're going to single-handedly solve that problem because we have now sort of we are creating jobs for hundreds of thousands of out of luck and unemployed actors across the entire globe.
You know what else we're doing as well? We're creating a huge problem in the lack of coffee baristas.
I mean, that's actually a really good point. Is this one of those ones where because we know what we're about to do, we should buy stocks because we know we're about to short the market?
Absolutely.
Can you buy stocks in baristas? I don't know how the stock market works. I only just figured out how film rights worked. I'm not sure I can figure out exactly if you can.
You absolutely don't buy stocks for companies or anything like that. You just buy stocks for concepts and like ideas.
Yeah.
So we'll buy stocks in the concept concept of baristas.
Yes.
Will then pull all baristas from their jobs because they'll be employed by movie film studios.
And is it then because people are thinking more about baristas or the lack thereof that our stock prices go up?
No, the stock prices will go... No, okay, here's what we do. We buy the stock when the stock is low, but after we've taken all the baristas out, baristas will be worth nothing, so we'll
But they'll be worth more because there's a shortage of them.
Oh,
There's more of a demand to have baristas.
Then we'll just fire 1 or 2 baristas every week just so they can jump back into the market and we get money.
No, that's not how it works.
Doesn't matter, who cares? The point is, we'll be investing some kind of money into baristas, but that's beside the point. Now we have to make our first production for this new entertainment style, this new paradigm of entertainment or performance.
Yes.
Which combines film with a live performance.
But
somehow
in a really seamless manner.
Yeah.
I've seen it, I'm sure they probably do it as experimental art installations where you're supposed to interact with the screen and it's all really cheesy. I imagine that, in Jurassic Park, how Hammond's just he's got to read the cue cards and at the right moment prick his finger or whatever, and it's all very sort of cheesy because they haven't really thought it through. This is more of a seamless, the people on the screen are sort of
it's a real film. It has to be presented it can't be presented like a stage play. It has to feel like a film as well, but it's going to mix between the two.
You know what also we're doing here as well, which we are solving the world's problems because by getting rid of the oversupply of baristas, employing actors, getting people back into into the cinemas to watch these films. You can't watch this at home unless you hire your own cast of actors to come in and perform the bits that are missing from the film. You can't just stream it on Mephisel Woodada. You can't illegally pirate it and watch it at home because you're missing half of those key components.
Exactly. Which is bad for us because we've kind of shorted our own product, but doesn't really matter.
But like I said, it's getting people back into the establishments. Again, maybe we buy stocks in cinemas now.
Absolutely.
And then when people go back in there, we'll have made definitely.
But they have to go into our cinemas though, because they've got to be specially outfitted. Or do we sell outfitting kits to other cinemas?
Exactly. We can do that as well.
Yep. Great. I also we can now, going back to what this film was all meant to be about, we can have off stage as well, all the motion capture people there doing live motion capture for the film. So if they're going to do animated characters or, I don't know, big digital creations, they can all do it live.
So there's sort of live rendering of so even what's on screen changes every time as well.
Absolutely.
So when the big lizard monster comes through, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is pre-rendered." No, it's being live rendered by a motion capture guy who's off stage as well.
Yep.
So there's multiple layers of actual live performance, which is being live rendered to a digital production, and pre-recorded digital video,
live music
as well.
John Williams is in there. Conducting the London Symphony Orchestra for the film.
For one of the performances. In another one, it's just some other guy who also happens to be called John Williams and his kindergarten orchestra doing a really bad rendition of it because they can't really read music that well.
Exactly. In one of the other theatres as well, it's just some guy on a piano just doing 1930s style country western saloon music.
This is the beautiful thing is that the experience changes. It is the same film fundamentally. But the experience of watching it changes every time.
All right, here's what I think we need to concentrate on now. We need to have the flagship performance of whatever this film is. So this is the one where we have the 108-piece symphony orchestra and John Williams. We have the ultimate in live rendering, and we have our big cast of non-barista actors. The ones that are actually decent actors.
Olivia Award nominated people in every role.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we can also what's wrong with going for Tony Award nominated actors now?
This is one of those things. We could get an EGOT.
Yeah, we could.
Just for this production.
Just for this production.
It doesn't need to be, everyone's Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yeah.
We have to be in 4 separate productions. No, we can get all of them for a single production because it's going to include elements of television broadcast, elements of recording, elements of cinema acting, and elements of stage performing, all in the one production.
That's right. Last week we had Miley Cyrus do an original song for the film that we made. Miley Cyrus can be there live. Why don't Miley Cyrus and John Williams do a duet together?
It's true.
And then we'll win the Grammy for that, the best original song.
And I mean, what they don't tell you as well, that there's a MEGOT. Because the other most prestigious award is the MTV Music Award as well.
Of course.
So I mean, don't forget that one.
Best music video.
The only reason they call it EGOT is because Whoopi Goldberg doesn't have the MTV Music Award, and she boycotted. Like she lobbied really hard, and got the M removed. But we're putting a campaign back in. We think that is just as important as the other awards.
Yeah. So we'll do a music video during the production of this multimedia, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It needs a new name. I mean, like, you can't call them a film. It can't be a movie.
it's its own experience.
It is, yeah.
It's cross media. It's cross platform.
Yep.
It's
Hang on. You know what else we should win? We need to win like the if we can win the Archibald Prize as well.
Yeah.
While we're at it, which is for like portraiture,
Pritzker Prize of Architecture as well. There can be people building structures.
The Man Booker Prize for the novelization of the.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens is that every performance, someone's sitting there typing up what happens, and so the novelization.
All right, so
of
we're gonna
that,
have to get all the court stenographers in the land
exactly
to do like the novelization of every production of whatever this.
Exactly.
We haven't even come up with a story yet.
I mean, I don't think we need to.
Does it matter?
I think the fact that we're winning so many awards, people are going to be just like with any advertising.
Yeah.
Normally you see nominated for 2 awards.
Sweet. We can win Cannes advertising as well.
Exactly.
Because we'll advertise the film inside the film or whatever it is.
So yeah, normally they'll say 2 awards. That's pretty good to go see it. This one. We're just going to... Our trailer is just going to be 10 minutes of all of the awards we've been nominated for.
There's going to be so many laurels.
And when they come in and go, well, what's the plot of this film? And it's just like, it depends. Where did you watch it?
Yeah. That's great.
You know what? I always get a little bit annoyed as well. You see stage productions who put on like, oh, it's Macbeth, but it's set on a construction site in Western Sydney, and they're all tradies.
Yep.
And like, oh, it's some other William Shakespeare thing, but it's got a veneer over the top of it.
Yeah.
Normally, they're really some people are really strict with when you sell the rights to your production, how much they can and can't change.
Yep.
I reckon we're so lax they can change whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
So obviously, there's elements of it which never change.
Yep.
So the cinematic elements never change.
Yep.
The stage parts can change.
Yep.
And that's up to the director who's doing that.
Yep.
The music can change if they want to. Like, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could just put on Dark Side of the Moon.
That's right.
And have it try and sync up as...
Yeah, but you need to actually reunite Pink Floyd to do it live.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes some of the places that are trying to sync up the film with Dark Side of the Moon are just some of them are doing original vinyl, some of them are streaming through Spotify, and some of them have Pink Floyd playing live.
So this is great. So all we sell for this experience, if you want to adapt it, is like a 1-paragraph synopsis of a plot of some kind, and then they can just like interpret it whatever way they want.
Really, by the time it gets to them, they can do whatever they want with it. All we need to come up with now is what's on screen, who's acting on screen, what's the story on screen, and how does... I mean, we don't actually have to figure out how it ties in.
No,
but
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So one of the things that just popped into my head when discussing what to do with this, and thinking of like films that sort of did a little bit of the multimedia experience, I'm thinking of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, great kind of like noir detective style.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Mixed in with like cartoon antics, and also the crossover between Disney and Warner Brothers. Sort of a landmark film that, while is for kids, isn't really for kids as well.
I kind of like... There's got to be elements of... And I was thinking of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where there is sort of a journey through imagination or the psyche. And like in those film noir things, people get clubbed over the back of the head and fall unconscious quite a lot. So we have lots of like fade to black moments where it sort of comes up on the stage, and this is its own sort of thing playing out in there. I kind of feel like the film noir can be set in some sort of area which will really lend itself to the bizarre and weird and imaginative. I'm not sure we could go with that one. I'm
also thinking like, what if we've done this a few times, but one of the other films this week was apparently a heist thriller. Do we do like a film noir heist?
Yes, absolutely.
But with CGI and cartoon elements as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have to have some sort of live animated elements, and maybe it's up to, again, there is an offsider.
Yep.
And the guy, whoever or girl who we cast as is sort of like constantly looking down to their left and just talking to empty space.
Yeah.
And then it's up to each individual production, whether they motion capture 3D, whether they live cell animate the characters in there, whether it's shadow puppets that they've comped in as well.
Right.
And the dialogue for that one's open as well. So it's whatever Film Noir Detective's offsider is the live animated element, which will be comped into that on the fly.
Perfect.
I'd actually really like to see that done with shadow puppets.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone has sort of put in a petition that that's what their animation style is going to be.
Yep.
Even hand shadow puppets.
Yeah.
So it's just that, that classic sort of dog you can do just by bending your index finger back and wagging your little finger around.
Yep.
Is his quippy offsiding dog character.
And then you can do anything for that. This is great. This is just there's so many avenues for money making here. All right, so it's a film noir detective heist film.
Yes.
Or heist production.
Yeah.
What can be our basic plot? What's been stolen?
Well, this is the thing.
Anything. So something's been stolen.
Something different stolen every single time.
Yeah.
The person who's murdered is different every single time.
Yep.
It's what we really need to do is get the most versatile actor in the world, someone who can play any different role, and maybe we shoot just hours and hours and hours of footage, and people can choose
what they want
in there and what they don't want in there.
So we'll shoot them all on a green screen as well. And we'll make sure they're also in a green jumpsuit with the motion tracking dots. So even that actor won't even need clothes. They just need to be wearing this jumpsuit. All you can see is their face. So you can literally do whatever you want with them. You can put them in different clothes. You can make them a different gender. You can make them a different ethnicity if you wanted to. But all you can see of this actor is their face.
I also like the idea that there's some sort of web tie-in platform, so people in the cinema can access that from their phone. And depending on popular opinion, can sort of change whether it's sci-fi background or film noir background or fantasy background.
What we need to bring back is that idea we had a couple of weeks ago of the live Twitter film.
Live Twitter? Yeah. There's definitely people are taking it'd have to be a different hashtag for every screening and every cinema. But that's definitely computed by an algorithm that will subtly change the angle of the guy's fedora if it is a film noir. It's you're gonna get hashtag tilt left.
Are you gonna get that granular with details and stuff?
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
And so who
is the most versatile actor in the world?
The moment you said motion capture, I thought Andy Serkis.
Yep.
I don't like that though, because I think this is very much the one thing that you can see is their face.
Yep.
And I don't like looking at Andy Serkis' face.
No one does. That's why they keep putting CGI over it.
So who's then's the most
versatile? Nicolas Cage keeps springing to mind, but I don't want to cast him a third time.
I literally had to take a break. I was so exhausted from contract negotiations that I was at my emotional end. I just can't do that again with him.
Okay, you know what? Maybe we're thinking about this the wrong way. Maybe it doesn't need to be the most versatile actor in the world. Maybe it needs to be the most generic actor in the world. And the person that immediately sprung to mind, and I apologize to him for this, is Hayden Christensen.
Right.
From the 2 Star Wars prequels that no one likes. Because he's so just flat and uninteresting. And
he is completely... The issue is that it's not just generic, it's boring. It is past the edge of just being an everyman into being something that I actively sort of am not interested in at all.
Yep. What about Steve Carell? I know he's in the Welcome to Marwen film, but he's got a kind of everyday generic face.
He does. He has the
very Lego brick hairstyle as well. And he can be quite plain and simple.
Has anyone ever done that before? You know how Deep Impact went up against Armageddon.
Yep.
Imagine if like Bruce Willis was just in both of those films, or if like
so they're competing against his
White
own film.
Earp and Tombstone were like two competitive studios were both doing the White Earp story at the same time.
Yep.
What if Bugs Life and Ants were just both done by Pixar?
Yeah.
It's just like we're going to do that thing where competing studios put out the same film, but they just have all of the same elements. Is that what we would be doing if we put Steve Carell in this film?
I think so. And what if we got Robert Zemeckis on board as well to, I don't know, direct, produce, do something?
Yeah.
And then because our film's coming out in a week, it should coincide with the release of Welcome to Marwen. So Robert Zemeckis and Steve Carell are competing with their own film. But ours is not a film. It's now just like this multimedia. It's so much bigger. Yeah.
I can taste that megot.
I can taste it too, amongst other things. Is that it?
Is this? I mean, we normally struggle with film names. This is more than that. I feel also we can't call it anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to come up with a name for the sort of general experience, because obviously other people are going to want to go, you know, we really loved it. It was so internationally successful.
Yep.
You solved the world's barista problems. You solved the world's stenographer problems. You solved the world's actors problems.
Yep.
Here's a Nobel Peace Prize to go with all the prizes that you've come up with so far.
Yep.
Is it just the experience?
Yeah,
That's it.
Like,
so like IMAX is kind of like a way in which you can go and view it. This is just the experience.
It's the experience. So I think like IMAX has like the IMAX experience. It has this kind of like signifier or a designator to say it is a particular experience. No, this is the experience.
TM.
Yeah. So you go to Movie Film Studios chain of what was it? Chain of production theatre cinemas, I think it was.
Yep, the COPTC.
Yep. Movie Film Studios, chain of production theatre cinemas presents
the
experience.
You buy the kit to outfit your existing cinema with the
Movie Film Studios technology, and several builders come in to like...
Or you don't. Like, that's... If you don't have space, those actors can be standing on the chairs at the front row of the cinema.
If you can't fit a 108-piece orchestra in your cinema, then just get some guy on a piano.
Exactly.
It's fine. It's totally up to you how you want to put on the experience.
The
experience starring Steve Carell.
Yeah, see,
I feel whoever else you want.
I feel as though the experience isn't starring Steve Carell. That'd be like saying IMAX is starring Steve Carell. It's like, no, the thing itself has its own name, but the experience is the way in which it's presented.
Yep.
So, I mean, I suppose we do have to come up with something
we do need a name
film
for it,
noir.
because if you want to do a production with the experience, then you need to have a different name for it.
Yeah.
So this particular experience, which is a film noir detective crime heist film starring Steve Carell, is called...
I was actually thinking, like, what's film noir? Noir is black. The night, Dark Knight. And I'm like, that's already a film name.
The Black Shadow.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
The Black Shadow.
The Black Shadow. Great.
And that way, elements of that shadow puppetry, which I really want to see,
exactly,
like we'll definitely have more. Like, we'll encourage it.
We'll encourage it for this one. Like, we'll give like production guidelines to anyone that wants to put this on as an experience.
Yeah.
And just say, for the context of this particular story, we recommend shadow puppets. It is, of course, up to you.
Yeah.
How you want to produce.
We recommend stage production are in black morph suits.
Yep.
Yep. You know,
and we'll supply the footage of Steve Carell in a green morph suit, so you can comp him into anything you want. We'll give you the motion capture data for him as well, so you can do whatever you want with that. But then, everything else, up to you. You want to put John Williams and a 108-piece symphony orchestra in there, go ahead. If you want some guy playing a banjo in the corner, also do that if you want.
You know what's going to happen, and I can just see it happening, is like the people who are nominated for Best Actor is possibly could... Like, all 6 people nominated could be from The Black Shadow.
Yeah, absolutely. But from different productions.
Productions of it, exactly.
Awesome.
Best original soundtrack. All 6 of these are also from The Black Shadow.
Yeah, but like really specific. It's like best original soundtrack from the Mount Druitt showing of...
Yeah, exactly. No, best original soundtrack. It's like, Mount Druitt showing gets a nomination.
But it's like, no, the Mount Druitt showing on like July 21st at 12:30 p.m.
Because, you know, the guy who did the Skrillex remix had to go back to school the next day and couldn't do the live performance. So.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, every, like... we'll be nominated so many times for every award because like every single production is so different.
Yeah.
That they'll all have their own merits. And like you'll have customers that walk out saying that was terrible and it was my fault because I influenced the story in this way.
Exactly. Right now I'm going to go back to the box office and buy another ticket.
Yep.
So I can put hashtag tilt to the right because I think I hashtag tilted to the left
That's
too
right,
much.
Yeah. Man, what's Rotten Tomatoes going to say? Like, people will go in to see. There'll be just like the amount of entries that have to go up on Wikipedia as well for each individual production of the or the Black Shadow.
It really won't be any different to any other review site. Some people give it 5 stars, some people give it 1 star. At least this way you can like make an excuse why some people enjoyed it and other people didn't because they're seeing different things.
Yeah.
It's really weird when some people enjoy it and some people don't. I'm like, it was exactly the same every single time. It was exactly the same thing.
Yep.
How can it be? How can your viewpoints be so different?
Yeah.
This way, at least we've got an excuse.
Exactly. All right. I think that is a wrap.
I think you're right.
Possibly a wrap on our filmmaking career. If we go into just doing the experience from now on.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely patented that idea.
Yep.
And everyone who then licenses that idea from us will just be just like another revenue stream to go with our other hundreds of thousands of methods by which our film studio is raking in the big bucks.
And the great thing is you can't copyright the concept of a play, but you can copyright the experience. So
exactly.
Money-making schemes for us. All right, housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and of course Mfwizawudada, which is our little database of films that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where emoji clues are posted as to the upcoming trailers.
This is going to be a tough week. I don't think there is a welcome to Marwen emoji.
Widows, that's also a little difficult.
A little bit dark. A couple of weeks ago, we had one which was The Nun, I think was a trailer. I'm like, I'll just put in a nun emoji. I'm like, no, doesn't exist. Church lady? That'll have to do.
Indeed. We're on Twitter because someone told us to be on there. And of course, we're on iTunes, Podbean, and any other place that you get podcasts. And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you all for listening again this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.
March winds and April